You've given us a truly unexpected piece of source material this time, and honestly, it sparked a whole new way of thinking about where learning begins.
Absolutely. We're used to dissecting, dense reports and complex data, but today our focus narrows to something far more fundamental. A coloring book designed for toddlers age 3 and up.
That's right, a toddler coloring book. Now, I know it might sound simplistic, but our mission is to explore the categories and words chosen for these very young minds. What can they reveal about the essential building blocks of how we understand the world?
Precisely. It's about uncovering the initial framework of knowledge. This coloring book, in its, apparent simplicity, offers a fascinating window into the curated concepts we first encounter.
Okay, let's dive in. Even the initial pages offer some interesting clues. There's the standard copyright, advising against online sharing, but encouraging discussion with credit. But then there's this note, this dedication that really caught my eye.
What's fascinating here is that it thanks purchasers and mentions that the proceeds will help unfortunate children who lack gadgets to support online learning. It introduces an unexpected element of social awareness connected to this very basic learning tool.
It really makes you consider the broader context, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the straightforward instruction for personal use only. Moving on, we find an About Me page, designed to be interactive.
Yes, a classic way to engage a young child and foster self-recognition. There are spaces for their name, nickname, and age, some of the earliest pieces of personal information they learn and share.
And it even includes a space for their address. It struck me that this introduces the idea of their immediate physical location right from the start, their place in their world.
Exactly. It anchors their developing identity to a specific physical space, connecting them to their home and neighborhood. Now, the main part of the book is divided into themes, each with a color of the picture below, activity, and a label. The very first section is school time words.
And what a telling collection of words it is. We see pencil, eraser, ruler, bag, book, crayon, glue, marker, clip, scissors, chair, paper, table, paintbrush, globe, school, and teacher. It really sketches out the essential elements of an early learning environment, focusing on fundamental tools and figures.
Right. And if we think about why these specific items are prioritized, it suggests an early educational focus on individual tasks and creative expression. Notice how many pencil, crayon, paintbrush support a child's artistic development in those initial school experiences.
That's a good point.
Hmm.
Then we move into animals, and this section is surprisingly broad. We've got common pets like dog, cat, and rabbit, then farm animals like cow, pig, and duck, followed by, horse, rooster, goose, turkey, goat, sheep, donkey.
Parrot and swan, and even an owl.
Yeah.
What's interesting is how quickly it moves beyond just domestic animals.
Huh.
We then see insects, bee, butterfly, dragonfly, and then an entire underwater world. Fish, shark, jellyfish, whale, dolphin, turtle, starfish, shrimp, squid, crab, seahorse, and sea urchin. It's quite a wide net, isn't it? Introducing diverse habitats.
It really is. And it continues with another group. Monkey, squirrel, ant, lion, kangaroo, giraffe, elephant, snake, walrus, ox, frog, a dinosaur, snail, iguana, and ladybug. That's a real mix of mammals, reptiles, amphibians, even a dinosaur, and more insects.
This raises a fascinating question about the principles of selection, right? Why these particular animals? It seems to balance familiar creatures with those that might spark more curiosity, like the dinosaur. The inclusion of a walrus and kangaroo also hints at an introduction to animals from different parts of the world.
Next, we have fruit, with strawberry, melon, mango, mangosteen, lemon, orange, cherry, grape, banana, watermelon, pineapple, coconut, kiwi, avocado, and pomegranate. It's a mix of everyday favorites and some less common ones like mangosteen and pomegranate.
Yeah, the presence of these less frequently encountered fruits is intriguing. It could reflect a growing awareness of global food sources, even at this early stage, or maybe just aim to introduce a wider variety of flavors and textures conceptually, going beyond the most basic fruits a toddler might actually eat.
Mm-hmm. The vegetable section follows, including tomato, pumpkin, cauliflower, potato, bell pepper, onion, zucchini, eggplant, celery, cabbage, carrot, corn, broccoli, radish, and pea. This feels like a pretty standard selection of common vegetables found in many households.
Absolutely. This list likely aims to build recognition of familiar foods and perhaps, encourage healthy eating habits by exposing them to the names of common ingredients. It's practical vocabulary for everyday life.
Okay, now, most common nouns. This is quite a list. We have bubbles, rain, star, flower, tree, cookie, cracker, chip, cheese, ice cream, milk, meat, lollipop, chicken, juice, cake, balloon, sun, fire, bell, ribbon, dice, robot, grass, key, padlock, coins, helmet, bottle, tissue, umbrella, purse, comb, mirror, bin, basket.
Headphone, mic, calculator, candy, ice cubes, flag, coffee, calendar, ladder, magnet, flashlight, toy, cloud, rainbow tape, Band-Aid, jar. Sew.
It's a real assortment of everyday objects and ideas.
What's striking is the sheer range. It spans natural elements like rain and stars, typical household items like keys and bins, and even slightly more modern things like headphones and a microphone. It suggests an effort to create a foundational vocabulary for interacting with a, well, diverse environment.
The next category is playtime, featuring jump rope, seesaw, swings, trampoline, inflatable bounce, tower pipe, slide, and carnival. This really emphasizes active and imaginative play.
Mm-hmm. This section underscores the vital role of physical activity and social interaction in early development. These are all things that encourage movement, coordination, and often playing together. The inclusion of carnival adds a touch of larger-scale fun and excitement.
Then we have clothes, shirt, pants, short, shoe, sock, coat, cap, dress, scarf, sunglass with 3 S's there. Interestingly, gloves, jacket, pajama, boots, skirt, blouse, bow tie, tie, watch, and belt. This covers a good variety for different weather and occasions.
This is practical vocabulary related to self-care and understanding different types of clothing. It includes items for warmth, specific activities, and even some more formal accessories like a bow tie and tie, hinting at an early understanding of different social contexts.
Land vehicles gives us car, bicycle, train, tractor, motorcycle, bus, ambulance, fire truck, and scooter. A good mix of transportation and emergency services.
This introduces various ways of getting around on land and highlights essential community services. You see the contrast between personal transport like cars and bicycles and public options like buses and trains, right?
Definitely. The water vehicles are ship, sailboat, submarine, jet ski, kayak, pirate ship, and yacht, ranging from simple to specialized and even imaginative vessels.
The inclusion of pirate ship is interesting again. It brings in that element of make-believe. And the range from a basic kayak to a more complex submarine is quite notable.
Air vehicles keeps it concise with airplane, hot air balloon, blimp, and biplane, showing different ways to take to the skies.
This selection highlights different methods of flight and even different eras of aviation. It's a nice early introduction to the concept of air travel beyond just modern airplanes.
The body parts section includes body, hair, head, ear, nose, eye, mouth, teeth, tongue, lips, shoulder, arm, hand, finger, belly, knee, leg, foot, and toe. These are fundamental for understanding ourselves physically.
Oh, absolutely. This is essential vocabulary for self-awareness, being able to identify others and communicating about physical sensations. It really forms the bedrock of understanding basic human anatomy.
Then we have a Christmas time section, which, while seasonal, includes Santa Claus, snowman, angel, sleigh, Christmas hat, Christmas sock, candy cane, Christmas tree, gift, bells, star, wreath, fireplace, pudding, mistletoe, gingerbread, reindeer, and snow globe. This introduces cultural vocabulary around a major holiday.
This highlights how cultural traditions and symbols are passed down early on. It introduces specific words and images associated with Christmas celebrations.
Musical instruments gives us xylophone, drum, guitar, piano, saxophone, harmonica, trumpet, flute, tambourine, violin, maracas, and lyre. A nice variety of instrument types.
This introduces different ways of creating music, from percussion to stringed and wind instruments. The inclusion of something like a lyre also offers a glimpse into older musical forms.
Shapes cover square, rectangle, circle, triangle, diamond, pentagon, hexagon, octagon, trapezoid, star, heart, and oblong. These are the basic geometric forms.
Yeah, this is foundational for spatial reasoning and understanding the visual world. Recognizing these shapes is a key early cognitive skill.
Mathematical signs keeps it simple but crucial with plus sign, times sign, minus sign, division sign, and equal sign. An early glimpse into basic math concepts.
These seemingly simple symbols are the very foundation of abstract mathematical thinking, aren't they? Allowing children to move beyond just counting things to understanding symbolic representations of quantity and operations.
The family section includes grandfather, grandmother, father, mother, sister, brother, baby, uncle, and auntie, covering core family relationships.
These are the foundational social units a child learns to recognize and name, crucial for their developing sense of belonging and social identity.
Okay, house objects is by far the most extensive.
Yeah.
Talking door, cabinet, sofa, rocking chair, swivel chair, window, curtains, alarm clock, telephone, television, radio, speaker, lantern, lamp, bed, blanket, pillows, fan, light bulb, wooden stool.
Refrigerator, microwave, rolling pin, kettle, pan, pot, mitten, spoon, bowl, fork, whisk, plate, cup, cutting board.
Cowl, bathtub, shower, sink, toilet, clothes iron, hair dryer, vacuum cleaner, washing machine, laundry basket, mop, faucet, bucket, sweep, plunger, hand duster, soap.
Food tray, hanger, clothespin, toothpaste, toothbrush, watering can, wheelbarrow, shovel, hammer, fence, coat rack, shoe rack, oven, and jug. Wow, that's a real immersion into the domestic environment.
It really is.
What's remarkable is the level of detail. It covers items across different rooms and functions within a house, from furniture to kitchenware to cleaning supplies, even extending to outdoor tools like a watering can and wheelbarrow. The sheer number of items in this category really underscores the importance of the home environment as the primary learning space for a toddler, laying the groundwork for understanding daily routines and responsibilities. The inclusion of things like a clothes iron and vacuum cleaner also introduces the child to adult tools and activities within the home.
The seasons are simply summer, spring, autumn, and winter, introducing the cyclical nature of the year.
Yeah, this helps children grasp the passage of time and the different environmental conditions associated with each part of the year, a fundamental understanding for navigating their world.
And finally, numbers goes up to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A foundational step in learning about quantity.
This is the crucial first step in developing mathematical understanding and the ability to count and quantify. Think back to your own early memories. Weren't these some of the first concepts you encountered?
Absolutely. Throughout the book, after each activity, there's a space with what I have learned, encouraging a bit of self-reflection. And after some sections, there are my checklist areas, suggesting a way for a child to track their progress.
These interactive elements are so important for reinforcing what's been learned and prompting the child to actively engage with the material. The checklist provides a tangible sense of accomplishment.
And to top it off, there's a certificate of achievement for finishing the activity book, with spaces for a name and date, a nice way to provide positive reinforcement.
Exactly. It creates a sense of accomplishment and associates learning with a positive reward, encouraging them to complete the book.
Looking at the coloring book as a whole, it's really striking just how much vocabulary is covered. It's a truly comprehensive, early introduction to the world for young learners.
Indeed, the order of the categories also suggests a pedagogical approach. Starting with the familiar school environment, then moving to animals and food things directly relevant to a young child's immediate experience, and then expanding to broader concepts like vehicles, body parts, and even more abstract ideas like shapes and math. There seems to be a thoughtful progression from the concrete to the slightly more abstract.
And it really makes you think about the choices made, doesn't it? Why a mangosteen and not a grapefruit? A walrus and not a seal? What do these inclusions and exclusions tell us about what the creators believe is important or, interesting for a toddler to encounter?
This is where it becomes really interesting. Even in its apparent simplicity, the selection reflects a certain perspective on what foundational knowledge is deemed most important to impart at this early stage of development. It's a snapshot, of cultural priorities in early education.
So we've taken this deep dive into a seemingly basic toddler coloring book, and it's turned out to be surprisingly rich, offering a fascinating glimpse into the fundamental concepts and vocabulary we introduce to young children.
It really highlights that learning begins so early, and even the simplest tools can be powerful in introducing complex ideas about the world around us.
And on that note, here's a final thought for you listening. Considering this seemingly basic list, what do you think are the absolute fundamental building blocks for understanding the world around us? And how have those building blocks evolved for you as you've learned and grown? Think about the categories and specific words that stood out to you, and what they might reveal about your own early learning or the learning process in general.
It really invites us to consider those very first steps in our own cognitive development and to appreciate the structured, albeit simple, ways in which we begin to make sense of everything around us.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until our next exploration.